Well, welcome back, music lovers of Champagne. You haven't left, which isn't a bad sign. Right. Okay. Now, many of you might have seen one of the trailblazing bands in terms of Irish music. Well, not just simply Irish music, but music from those islands that include Ireland. I'm reluctant to say Great Britain, but you know what I mean. The Boys of the Loch toured, they were pre-chieftains in terms of the Boys of the Loch probably toured in Mars and Venus and places like this, before the chieftains ever thought about travelling anywhere. But, and people would recognise the lovable Cathal McConnell as the great singer and flute player, but his brother, in fact, there was a very gifted family, and his brother, Mickey, who was a journalist by trade, but a fine songwriter, and I'll sing one of his songs. And it's a love song, a love gone wrong song, but it's about people you will immediately identify, unlike the pop milieu where they're talking about, you can't see the people's faces, the shadowy characters who populate most pop songs. But with this, you can sort of, and readily identify with it. And it's also a bit disparaging about the good people from this neck of the woods, as you'll see in one of the verses. But the action kicks off in Galway. It takes place in Galway. There's a reference to Eyre Square, which is the central square in Galway City. And there's also a reference to a Morris Minor. I learned to drive a car many years ago in my father's beaten up old Morris Minor, which was the sort of thing you wouldn't be seen dead driving. Your granddad would be driving, never mind, and you'd have to wear a balaclava, and in case any of your friends recognized you when you were out driving in the Morris Minor. But that was the sort of staple, like the Model T Ford, of the 50s and 60s in Britain and Ireland. You'd insist you'd do the driving when we left the city lights in a clapped-out Morris Minor heading west on Friday nights. And the heater never worked and we never had a spare. But we called that old car flattery, for it got us everywhere. And when we stopped to pitch the tent, it always seemed to rain. Only then I'd realize you forgot the pangs again. And I could never get that campfire lit, no matter how I tried. Don't you remember? We had roadside stops for bread and cheese and supermarket wine. And the world was ours, and I was yours, and I thought that you were mine. Do you remember Galway races and your man in Harris tweed, who because he knew your father said he'd do us a good deed? And the horse we put our money on, sure I'd swear it's running still. And we're checked into the boarding house and couldn't pay the bill. And then when I lost the head, you told me not to swear, saying The city's full of Yankees, we'll go busking in Eyre Square. And the Blarney Stones and the Blarney Stones and then I can't remember the next bit, are sure to see us through. Don't you remember the Blarney Stones? That's it. And the Blarney Stones and the Galway Bays are sure to see us through. Don't you remember? We sang Galway Bay and Danny Boy at least 97 times. When I was yours and you were mine, and I thought that you were mine. I made a pig's ear of that. When you phoned me from the airport, just before you caught your plane, and you told me you were leaving and that I was not to blame, and you hoped that I would understand and we'd always be good friends. 'Twas then that I realized that we'd never meet again. And I must admit it hurt like hell and that I miss her yet. For girls like that are never all that easy to forget. And sometimes some half-forgotten fragment flits across my mind, and I remember all those roadside stops for bread and cheese and supermarket wine. The world was ours and I was yours, and I thought that you were mine. The world was ours and I was yours, and I thought that you were mine. Sorry about that, folks. It's always the one you think you know best that you screw up. As the bishop said to the bishop. Makes a change from an actress, really, doesn't it, you know? Now then. This is a song written by... I'll sing another Mickey McConnell song later, but... and also a couple of songs by Brian O'Rourke, who's a fine singer he's a fine singer, but an even better writer. He lives down in County Clare now, in Fecal, and has written some what he calls Jocko serious songs that you can laugh at, but also there's also stuff to make you think, you know. But this is just his parody of, because he got so hosed off with people singing The Banks of the Lee, which is a sort of an anthemic sort of piece from Cork City. So he took the tune and wrote this, another sort of love gone wrong song, with a bit of profanity, healthy profanity in it. It's called The Banks of the Rhine. Well, I met me love last Christmas, in fact, 3 days after Christmas. Yes, I met me love last Christmas over brandy and port wine. And I kissed me love soon after midst great crack and lots of laughter. We were swinging from the rafters to the strands of old Lang Syne. Well, I loved her very dearly, most truly and sincerely. There was no one in this wide world I'd sooner have made mine. So I threw out all the savings and splashed out on carnations. And I made me presentation on the feast of Valentine. Well, she looked at my carnations, me lovely pink and cream carnations. Yes, she looked at my carnations, bristling like a porcupine, saying you can stuff your old carnations, your smellless, force-fed Dutch carnations that were dragged up in some greenhouse on the banks of the Rhine. Oh, you great big ignorant gobshite, you double-barrel great big gobshite, you All Ireland champion gobshite, you've neither brains, backbone, nor spine. Why couldn't you have picked for me a snowdrop, a wild daffodil or snowdrop, and leave these weeds behind to wither on the banks of the Rhine? Well, she grabbed me Dutch carnations, me lovely pink and cream carnations, proof of my infatuation that cost a £2.99, and where she stuffed them old carnations I leave to your imagination. And our amorous relations entered a terminal decline. Well, o'er my grave there grows a snowdrop, a wild daffodil or snowdrop, and each day she sheds a teardrop. If the day is nice and fine, and this morning be the hokey, on me grave she placed a bouquet of carnations, pink and rosy, from the banks of the Rhine. Well, I loved her very dearly, most truly and sincerely. But 'tis a bit too late for tears now, after treating me like a swine, and after such humiliation, if I've to face reincarnation, I'll take out some other matron from the banks of the Rhine. There we are. Hey. Play a couple of tunes on this lovely instrument. No, I'll sing a song and then I'll play a tune. This is a tune called the when I was writing the sleeve notes for the album that this is on, I was convinced I'd read that this song, which is called The Wheels of the World, which is just a vehicle really for it's a song of complaint really about the lot, in this case, of workers generally, but we, the people in the textile industry. And there's not too many songs about that sort of industry in the Irish tradition. And I was convinced I'd read that it was published in a broadside in 1801 and went and printed that, didn't I? And then I was doing this gig and somebody said, yes, well, Donald, it's rather interesting. There's a reference here to Napoleon. I thought, oh, shit. Yes, the Battle of Waterloo. Yeah, it was a little bit after. And then there's John Mitchell, of course, who was in the 1860s was transported. I said, well, it was just, the author showed great prescience, I think. I thought, there's always one, there's always one. So, come all ye true sons of Erin, attend to these few nimble lines. I'll sing you a song about spinning, it was a great trade in its time. Some they spun worsted and yarn, and others they spun flax and tow. By experience, me friends, you will see how the wheels of the world they do go. William Pitt, he was a great spinner, he, and likewise Lord Castlereagh. They spun a union for Ireland, to England they towed it away. William Pitt spun out his existence, he took a long trip on a boat. Lord Castlereagh saved the distance by slitting the rim of his throat. Napoleon, he was a great spinner, he freedom did always advance. Over deserts and lofty high mountains he led the true sons of France. But Wellington was a great spinner, his wheels were at Waterloo. If Grouchy had never betrayed him, the French would have cut him in two. John Mitchell, the true son of Erin, he swore that a spinner he'd be. He set the wheels in motion, our dear native land to set free. But John Bull, that crafty old tyrant, that spinning was fully bent. So to Van Diemen's land should the sons of old Erin were sent. The factory owners are spinning, their wheels are turning away. Soon they'll be wanting their hands for to work 14 hours a day. They don't give a damn for the poor, they heed not their sighs or their moans. Don't care a fig if they spin till they spin all the flesh from your bones. The rich, they are all famous spinners, of that we are all very sure. Always contriving schemes that will put down the rights of the poor. So if you intend to go spinning, let each of your spindles be steel. Let liberty then be your motto, and glory will turn your big wheel. Thank you. Hey. Somebody hit that man over the head so I can steal his instruments. In a playful sort of way. Recover consciousness after I've left. Now then. I've sung one Mickey McConnell song already, and I'll sing another one. This is, again, one of the best balanced songs I think I've heard from about the north of Ireland and the troubles over the centuries. But even as a small kid, I was very aware with a name like Donal, it put me in one camp as opposed to another. And as much as that Donal is Irish for Daniel, just like I have a son called Seamus, and that immediately puts him in the sort of nationalist camp as opposed to, shall we say, the loyalist camp. And that has sort of bedeviled, you can imagine the implications for relationships. You're talking to somebody, boy meets girl, boy's name is Seamus, girl's name, well, her brother's name's Willie or Eric or Sam. That immediately puts them in the different camp. And you can identify people. It's almost like wearing a sign, I am nationalist as opposed to I am loyalist, And this song deals with the anguish associated, I think, with that phenomenon that we can only hope is improving and will improve when faith schools are knocked down and replaced by multi-denominational schools. But I won't inflict my prejudices on you. But anyway. This is a song called the Lambeg Drum. And at the Lambeg Drum, you would see looms literally very large in orange marches, the loyalist marches in the middle of July, well, during the marching season, July and August. Great big things like this, and maybe more renowned, less for their intrinsic musical qualities, but for scaring the living daylights out of the opposition during the marches. Well, I met her on a far Greek isle, the accent Irish, a glance, a smile, the love I couldn't have at home, loved in Greece and later Rome. All through France and the dust of Spain, Lord, I'll never love like that again. All through that long grape-picking summer, but now she's the wife of a lambing drummer. I kissed her cheek in Brittany. What a shame you're Mick, not Sam, says she. Stuart Ivan, Ian Romb, Billy Ivor, Jack or Bomb. You live inside some Fenian dream. You dream of things that might have been. But let's not waste what's left of summer before I go into me lambeg drummer. Well, I'd often watch her while she'd sleep, from shadow soft to firelight deep, and I wondered why a Cupid's dart should miss the head to wound the heart. And I knew it all too soon would end, to hearts not lost but out on land. And one day I'd retrieve mine from her and give hers back for her lamb-begged drummer. We wandered a deserted beach, though we both held hands. She was out of reach, side by side, but both alone, as we thought about the news from home. And I knew 'twas time for letting go of that sweet and most beloved foe, for her ears were tuned to a tribal thunder that called her back to her lamb-begged drummer. On a drab Dutch beach we said goodbye. I had to hitch, she chose to fly. But just before she turned to go, I told her what she had to know, that if she'd been more a breach or Kate, we'd have wandered through that airport gate, and I'd never more be parted from her, be time or tide or a lamb-begged drummer. I watched the Orange 12th parade. I was half impressed and half amazed, and there I saw the girl I loved, all hatted, sashed, be-medalled, lummed, more lovely than she'd ever been when she was orange and I was green, and our love outblazed a Spanish summer that's squandered now on a lamb-begged drummer. But if she'd been more a Bridge or Kate, we'd have walked together through that airport gate, and I'd never more be parted from her, be time or tide or a lamb-begged drummer. Yeah. Oh. Well, thank you. Thank you. Now I'll sort of even things up a bit. I said I'd sing another of Brian O'Rourke's songs. It's great to be able to sing songs like this, and it's great that songs like this have been written, thought-provoking songs, and that reflect the sort of here and now in Ireland, rather than some fantasy world, so idyllic. Sort of, I'm trying to think of the musical, The Land That Didn't Exist, populated by Darby O'Gill and the little people running around, I'll sing another song that Brian O'Rourke wrote, and this is a true story. Brian only married later than most, and he was at a gig and he heard this woman sing this song, and he said to her, where did you learn that song, just out of interest? And she said, I learnt it from such and such and such a person. She said, well, why do you ask? He says, well, I wrote it. And as one or all of the Bronte sisters might say, and then, dear listeners, they married. And but before he married, he quite literally scraped this poor unfortunate young lass off the street who'd been ejected from the family home because she was pregnant. And the sort of thing you probably get 2 to 3 years in jail for these days if you look crooked at a young person, you know, the sort of thing. No, but on a serious note, he gave her succor, as they say, when all else had failed. And she was talking about the bastard of a father of her child. She said, all that bastard ever gave me was one red rose. And Breen said there was a little bell was sounded. And he wrote the song in about 20 minutes. And I sent him a gift with my Christmas card. It cost 1,000 tokens. He sent no regards and I took it hard, and my heart was nearly broken. He sent no regards and I took it hard, and my heart was nearly broken. Not a line, not a sign on Valentine's Day. Can he think so little of me? Oh, what game must I play so he won't go away? I'm afraid he may not love me. Oh, what game must I play so he won't go away? I'm afraid he may not love me. Could it be, oh it could, that he's not much good, that he's out for one thing only? 7 months down the road and I've understood how it's worse to be used than be lonely. 7 months down the road and I've understood how it's worse to be used than be lonely. All he ever gave me was one red rose. That's all he ever gave me. All I'll have to show if he ups and he goes is one red rose and a baby. All I'll have to show if he ups and he goes is one red rose and a baby. One red rose, £1 it cost, £1 from a petrol station. All the baby cost was a frolic in the frost, and he was drunk on both occasions. All the baby cost was a frolic in the frost, and he was drunk on both occasions. Me friends say, tell him to go to hell. Sure, he's always bloody plastered. And 'twould be just as well if that little boy or girl never had to lay eyes on the bastard. And 'twould be just as well if that little boy or girl never had to lay eyes on the bastard. Oh, whether he stays or whether he goes, I think he'll drive me crazy. Oh, why should I suppose throw away the rose and sew some clothes for the baby? Oh, why should I suppose throw away the rose and sew some clothes for the baby? I cried aloud in the cloudless dawn, on the frozen ground where he laid me. When the baby's born, I might forget the thorn and the blood-red rose he gave me. When the baby's born, I might forget the thorn and the blood-red rose he gave me. The rose. Hey. Right, I'll play a couple of tunes after that. Gloom and Doom. Oh, how are we doing for time, Dean?
Pretty good.
Oh, good. Oh, that's all right then.
Maybe another 10 minutes.
So tomorrow, you've no work tomorrow. Should we have all day tomorrow as well? So that's great. It is a public holiday. Is it a public holiday tomorrow? Sort of. Only for some. the Spike Island Lassies and the Humors of Tulla, I think. Now, I'm conscious that I haven't sung any sort of big songs like classical ballads, but I'll sing one that I got from, she's long dead now, a Mrs. Duff, Elizabeth Duff, who lived in the charmingly named village of Termonfeckin, which is, Drogheda is situated on the Boyne, about 3 miles upriver. But on the mouth of the Boyne, on the north side of the Boyne estuary, you come to Baltray, and the next village is Termonfeckin. And she had the most complete version of that family of songs, the night visiting songs. And they have, not only there is your man knocking on your woman's window, but also the supernatural element in it, where he disappeared and he hadn't been sort of processed. It was a horrible word to use, but in terms of the rites of passage, a bit like the wife of Usher's Well, the sort of anxiety that parents have when they don't know where their children are. Whether in, like, I'm just thinking, like the dreadful Lockerbie disaster, the whole notion of not knowing where your loved ones are. And you have to use a term that's caught on in the UK now, to effect closure, you have to know and position people to maintain your own sanity. And this song, I think, deals with that sort of issue. And there's all sorts of interesting sort of symbolic references to the sort of the purifying rituals, the significance of water and fire and what have you. And it's wonderful that these things are woven into seemingly straightforward songs like this that are really anything but when you just look at them for more than 2 minutes. So it's Mrs. Duff's a version of the Grey Cock. Oh, here's a health to all true lovers, and to my own true love, where'er she be. This very night I shall be with her, though many's the my love you are from me. He stepped up to her bedroom window, and leaning gently upon a stone, he whispered quietly through a pane being broken, my dearest dear, do you lie alone? She raised her hand from her down soft pillow, and quietly she let him in. They did shook hands and embraced each other until this long night it was at its end. And when this night was past and over, and the grey cock began to crow, this young man rose and put on his clothing, saying, my dearest dear, now I must go. Oh, Willie dear, where are those blushes that you wore so many years ago? Me dearest dear, the cold clay has changed them, for I am the ghost of your Willie O. For 7 long years I've been constant writing to the far off Bay of Biscay, oh, till cruel death brought me this answer: with you, the ghost of my Willie O. The Wicklow Mountains I must cross over, the wild, wild oceans now I must roam. The burning sands I must cross for pleasure, for I am the ghost of your Willie O. There we are. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. So, appropriate, perhaps I should finish with another song from County Louth. And this one, dear audience, you will have heard versions of in the past. However, I'd just like to thank Dean and Jan indeed for Dean for organising this, and Jan and her husband John for helping to actually stage the little concert with this fine audience, small but beautifully formed, dare I say. And thank you very much. So I'll finish with this song that you will have heard, I'm sure, maybe once or twice. And if you feel like, don't refrain from refraining, ladies and gentlemen. And it goes like this. If my little frog will allow me. I've been a wild rover for many's the year, and I spent half me money drinking strong ale and beer. But now for the future I must take better care, in case that misfortune might come to my share, and it's roving I'll give it over, wild roving I'll give o'er, and I ne'er shall be called a wild rover no more. I went into an alehouse where I used to resort, and I told the landlady that me money was short. I asked her for a bottle, sure the answer was nay. Such a custom like yours I can get any day, and it's roving I'll give it over, wild roving I'll give o'er, and I ne'er shall be called a wild while rover no more. I put me hand in me pocket some money to find, and I pulled out the full of my 2 hands 5 times when she saw I had money and money galore. When she saw I had money, she called me her store. Says she, I have whiskey and wines of the best, and the words that I uttered, they were only in jest. And it's roving I'll give it over, while roving I'll give o'er, and I ne'er shall be called a wild rover no more. If I had half the money that I left in your care, it would buy me 10 acres and my family rear. It would thatch all of my house, it would build me a barn, it would buy me a coat to keep my back warm, and it's roving I'll give it over, while roving I'll give o'er, and I ne'er shall be called a wild rover no more. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.